Welcome back to the program. In this episode, we're going to keep the conversation going regarding the arrest of Diddy, but we're going to be talking about his alleged version of Ghislaine Maxwell, and that's a woman called Katrina Khorram. Now, for those of you who have been following along with the story, you've heard this name before. She's somebody that was front and center when these allegations first hit the public. And there were questions then about her role, what she was up to, what she was doing with Diddy, and more importantly, what her alleged role is or was within the alleged criminal empire. And in the previous episode, I was talking about co-conspirators, and this certainly is one of them. Now, I don't know if she has proffered up. I don't know if she's going to give the government information to save herself, but if she was smart, that's what she would be doing, because she's going to go down for a very long time. Just take a look at how long Ghislaine Maxwell got. Now, I'm not saying that Katrina Khorram is anywhere near the vile beast that Ghislaine Maxwell is. I don't know enough about Miss Khorram to say that. But what I will say is these allegations are bad news for her. And whenever you have these sorts of allegations, again, coming from multiple sources, chances are you're looking at big time trouble. And Katrina Khorram, unless she's singing a song for the government, is going to be looking at big time trouble. So today we have an article from the Daily Mail, and the headline: Sean Diddy Combs executive, once called as Ghislaine Maxwell, could hold the secrets of alleged sex crime empire. This article was authored by Bethan Sexton. Sean Diddy Combs, chief of staff, could hold the secrets behind his alleged crime empire and ultimately become a key witness in the sprawling federal sex crimes investigation, a source claims. Well, yeah, if she doesn't want to go to prison for the rest of her life, she better sing a song. And she better do it before she gets convicted. Because once you're convicted, if you're convicted, then your testimony means nothing, right? Who wants to hear from a convicted sex trafficker? Nobody's going to take you or your allegations serious. So Katrina Khorram, if she wants to find a way off this hook, if she wants to wiggle off, she's going to have to play ball. Katrina Khorram, once referred to as the Ghislaine Maxwell to Diddy's Jeffrey Epstein, has not been accused of any wrongdoing or charged with any crimes. Well, that we know of. Remember, there could be sealed indictments that we are not privy to yet, just like we didn't know about Diddy's or didn't know for sure about Diddy's. That's how it works. So they might have something prepared for Katrina Khorram in the event that she doesn't want to play ball, and then they'll unleash the indictment and they'll arrest her. But obviously we're not there yet. So what I take from this is that she's playing ball already. Because if she wasn't, my guess is she'd be in handcuffs too. However, several high-ranking supervisors are mentioned, but not named, in a criminal indictment against the rapper. If anybody is gatekeeper, Katrina would know everything, a source told the New York Post. Katrina might be cooperative. At least if she's smart, she will be. That would be my advice to her, unsolicited or otherwise. If you're going to get caught up in something like this, and you're looking at 30 years, 25 years for sex trafficking, providing drugs, distribution, the whole thing, yeah, you better start singing. Because don't think for a minute that Diddy's going to give one damn about you once you're locked up. He's on his way to going to prison too. What do you think, he's going to continue to put money on your books? The best move for Katrina Khorram now is to get into the self-preservation mode and look to cut a deal. Is she going to do that? I don't know. I don't know enough about the woman personally to make that sort of guess. But if she was smart, she would be calling them right now and telling them, look, I have all of the secrets. And not only that, I'm willing to testify. Look at Caroline Ellison over at FTX. She got up on the stand, ratted on Sam Bankman-Fried, and now she's going to end up getting a soft-ass sentence. So Khorram, if she was smart, would take a look at how this all works, get a good lawyer, and go and proffer up. And we have to keep in mind that that might have happened already. We're not privy to what's going on behind the scenes, but you can damn well be sure that the wheels of justice are grinding. Combs once referred to Khorram as his right hand. A civil lawsuit filed against Combs by music producer Little Rod likened her to the notorious Madam Maxwell. That's a bit of hyperbole, obviously, but you get the drift. It gives you an idea of what Khorram's role was here, or alleged role was. Sources previously told DailyMail.com that at least 5 executives close to Combs have been advised to explore their options because they will not be protected by the shareholders if any allegations emerge. Khorram joined Combs Bad Boy Entertainment in 2013 and became a manager at Combs Enterprises. Her since-deleted LinkedIn profile states she was appointed Combs' chief of staff in 2020. So if anybody has the keys, she definitely does. She knows what's up. She knows about the drugs. She knows about all of the escorts. She knows about the freak-offs. So Diddy's in serious jeopardy here because she has no reason not to snitch on him. Would you snitch on him? Ask yourself that question and be honest with yourself. I'll tell you right now, I'd be spilling all the beans. I'm not trying to go to prison for the rest of my life, so yup, I'd be giving up all the tea. All of it. I'd spill the whole ass pot. She's been my right hand for the last 8 years and has consistently proven to execute and get shit done. Don't know how I'd function without her, Combs wrote in a Facebook post in 2021. According to the indictment, the rapper relied on certain employees to carry out, facilitate, and cover up his abuse and commercial sex ring. Well, that's how it works. You can't do something like this on your own. You have to have people that are willing to play ball with you, do what you want them to do, and benefit from what's going on. And everybody was getting paid. Everybody was making money. Everybody was benefiting from the criminal enterprise. And anybody who was taking part in that criminal enterprise is now going to be on the hook. The document states that these high-ranking supervisors helped orchestrate freak-offs, which were what Combs said to have dubbed the alleged drug-fueled sexual performances. Little Rod claimed in his lawsuit that Khorram instructed staff to carry a pouch stuffed with drugs for Combs' use. He said the staffer knowingly and intentionally participated in, perpetrated, assisted, supported, facilitated sex trafficking venture and claimed she was instrumental in orchestrating the alleged operation. Combs' team rejected Little Rod's lawsuit as pure fiction and have asked for it to be dismissed. Attorney Erica Wolf previously branded the filing as a shameless attempt to create media hype and extract a quick settlement. Mr. Jones was not threatened, groomed, assaulted, or trafficked. We look forward to proving in a court of law that all of Mr. Jones' claims are made up and must be dismissed, he said. Well, guess what? You're going to get that chance now. Let's see how excited you are when you and your client are sitting in that courtroom staring down these charges. Everybody's a badass, right? Everybody's a tough guy. Until you get slapped with RICO charges. It's at that point when you realize that the tough guy act is out the window. Combs was jailed on Tuesday, and a judge denied his bail request, despite the star offering $50 million. Well, if you're a flight risk, or if there's a chance you might hurt somebody else, they're not going to let you out. And it doesn't matter what kind of bail package you show up with, they're going to tell you no, just like Maxwell, just like Epstein, just like R. Kelly. The indictment against him alleges he coerced and abused women for years while using blackmail and shocking acts of violence to keep his victims in line. It refers, obliquely, to an attack on his former girlfriend, the R&B singer Cassie, that was captured on video. Mr. Combs is a fighter, and he's going to fight this to the end. He's innocent, his lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, said after court. As a start, he said he would appeal the bail decision. Yeah, that was expected. What, he's just going to sit there and rot with all of his millions in the bank? Of course he's going to appeal. Does that mean he's going to be successful? I don't think he's going to be. The Bad Boy Records founder is accused of striking, punching, and dragging women, throwing objects and kicking them, and getting his personal assistants, security, and household staff to help him hide it all. Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson told the court Combs had physically and sexually abused victims for decades. He used his vast resources of his company to facilitate his abuse and cover up his crimes. Simply put, he's a serial abuser and a serial obstructor, she said, adding he had extensive and exhaustive history of obstruction of justice, including alleged bribery and witness intimidation. Yo, if you didn't know who Diddy was, you'd be looking at this indictment, looking at this story, thinking this dude was like El Chapo. I mean, they're hitting him with every charge you could possibly imagine. And guess what? He's earned all of it. Now, the question is, are they going to be able to prove any of it? That's the real question. But if they have as many witnesses as they say they do, and they have all this other evidence, plus the video of him beating Cassie, and add on top of that this is RICO, chances are Diddy and anybody around him are going to be spending a lot of time in prison. Unless, of course, you wise up and you snitch on them. And I believe that's probably what Christina Khorram will end up doing if she hasn't done that already. Agnifilo acknowledged that Combs was not a perfect person, saying he'd used drugs and he'd been in toxic relationships, but he was getting treatment and therapy. It's always treatment and therapy, huh? Here's an idea. Treatment and therapy before you're an asshole. Treatment and therapy before you beat women. Treatment and therapy before you kill people. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. The evidence in this case is extremely problematic, the attorney told the court. Oh yeah, is it? Is it really? He maintained that the case stemmed from one long-term consensual relationship that faltered amid infidelity. He didn't name the woman, but the details matched those of Combs' decade-long involvement with Cassie, whose legal name is Cassandra Ventura. So it's all about a consensual relationship that just went south, folks. This is what you do when your relationship isn't working. You beat your girlfriend up, you throw a vase at her, kick her, punch her, drag her around the hallway. You know, normal behavior. The freak-offs, Agnifilo contended, were an expansion of that relationship and not coercive. Is it sex trafficking? Not if everybody wants to be there, Agnifilo said, arguing that the authorities were intruding on his client's private life. Well, these women are saying that they didn't want to be there. They're saying that they were drugged. If you want to have a consensual freak-off and you want to have an orgy that includes 7,000 consensual adults, I don't give a fuck what you do. It's when you start molesting people and coercing people and drugging them where you're going to end up with a problem. Prosecutors, however, said in court papers that they had interviewed more than 50 victims and witnesses and expect the number to grow. They said they would use financial, travel, and billing records, electronic data, and communications and videos of the freak-offs to prove their case. So look, we don't have all of the evidence, right? So I'm not going to sit here and tell you for sure that they're going to send Diddy away forever, but it's not looking good. And if they have all this evidence, video, all this eyewitness testimony, how's he going to challenge that? Especially if somebody like Katrina Khorram turns on him. So this is going to be very interesting to watch unfold, and it's going to be really interesting to see which one of his associates decides to play ball with the government out of self-preservation. And my guess is, it's going to be all of them. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the program. All the way back in March of this year, there was a man named Brandon Paul who allegedly was Diddy's drug mule and who was responsible for getting these drugs from point A to point B. Well, this dude ended up getting arrested, but instead of getting hit with trafficking charges, he got hit with some lighter charges that even at the time I said were suspect. Now, if you recall when we were talking about this back in March, I said that there's no way in hell that the federal government is letting this dude off light if he's not cooperating. And now, in light of everything that we know, with the indictment, with the arrest, and all of the other fallout that has started to occur, I think it's worth revisiting the whole Brandon Paul story because I think that he is a linchpin when it comes to witnesses against Diddy. Remember, he allegedly witnessed all this stuff. The drugs, the transportation of the drugs, etc. So once again, we're going to dive into an article from the Daily Mail, and we're going to see what's up. Headline, Diddy's alleged drug mule Brandon Paul accepts plea deal in felony drug case and avoids jail. 2 months after he was arrested on tarmac next to the rapper's private jet. You would have to be a foolish-ass fool to think that this isn't connected. There's no way that this dude was just bringing drugs for himself on Diddy's plane, especially considering everything else that we know. Now, if you're Brandon Paul and the feds put you down in some interrogation room, and then they start going hard on you, talking about RICO, talking about 20-year minimum sentences, talking about drug trafficking, talking about putting you in Flomax with El Chapo, yeah, you're going to have a few things to say to the feds is my guess. So I think that Brandon Paul, when all is said and done, is going to end up being a gigantic witness for the federal government. And I think that it was his testimony, him getting hemmed up like this, helped solidify the case for the feds. And that led to them making this arrest. Now again, it's all of the evidence in its totality as we've discussed before. But something like this is big. You have somebody on the inside who is working as a key cog in the machine who decides that they're going to roll over and tell the authorities everything they know. Bad news for the criminal enterprise, and certainly bad news for Diddy. This article was authored by Eve Buckland and Ishita Shrivastava. Diddy's alleged drug mule, Brandon Paul, has accepted a plea deal and will avoid jail 1 month after he was arraigned for a single drug-based felony charge. And the reason they went light on him is because they wanted to extract this information. 100% without a doubt. When's the last time they went light on somebody trafficking drugs? Paul, 25, was arrested by Miami-Dade police alongside Homeland Security agents at Opa-locka Airport in Miami about 4:30 p.m. on March 25th and was initially hit with 2 felony drug possession charges by the Miami-Dade police. We call this a hold'em charge. This is so they can rattle you. Remember when they hemmed up Adriana in The Sopranos? That's basically what they did to Brandon Paul. Brought him into this room, flipped him, and told him, look, bro, you're going to face a whole lot of heat. You're going to be involved in the whole entire operation, and we're going to bring the hammer down on your ass. And he said to himself, or his lawyer told him, look, dude, you have no way out. There is no air for you to breathe, and your only choice, your only hope, is to turn on Diddy and turn on your associates and save yourself. And now, looking back on this with hindsight, that's exactly what Brandon Paul did, at least in my opinion. Officials at the time said that they had found suspected cocaine and marijuana-laced candy in his luggage. However, the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office later dropped the marijuana charge. Last month, his attorney, Brian Bieber, entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. All smoke and mirrors. The whole entire time, the whole entire goal was to get him to roll over. That's why they made the arrest. And remember, Brandon Paul was mentioned in those civil complaints that were made by Rodney Jones and were made by Cassie Ventura. So remember how I was talking about the civil suits coming back to bite these people directly in the ass? That's what I mean. If you think the feds aren't diving into civil suits that are making their way through the system when there's these kinds of implications, you're crazy. They are. And if they have a case there, they're going to look to pursue it. Bieber told TMZ on Thursday Brendan accepted the prosecutor's offer to permit his entry into the diversion program, which, after completion, the case against him will be dismissed in its entirety. Yeah, okay, sure. What he really means is, after he gives his testimony against Diddy, we'll give him a sweetheart sentence. And considering this was his first offense, considering he had no priors, the government was in a position where they could offer him a little bit more, right? If he was a violent offender, somebody that's been out here causing all kinds of havoc in the streets, a little bit more difficult for the government to hop into bed with him. Doesn't mean they wouldn't, but a little more difficult. With this dude having no priors, it gives them the perfect cover story. Well, he's not violent. He has no prior offenses. Why should we lock him up? Meanwhile, the whole entire idea was to get him in that room and flip him. And that's exactly what they did, in my opinion. A representative for the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office told the publication this was a standard offer to a nonviolent defendant with no priors who was arrested for a possession case instead of a much more serious trafficking case. So how is it that he gets arrested, about to get on a plane, and he doesn't get smacked with trafficking? Stop it. So if they had a mule that they caught on the tarmac, do you think the mule would get the same kind of treatment? Or do you think the mule would be thrown into prison for 10 years? You know what would happen. So if anybody out there is naive enough to believe that the government just felt magnanimous this day and decided, you know what, we're going to cut Brandon Paul some slack. Well, I got some beachfront property in Las Vegas for you. Paul is enrolled in a drug diversion program for around 6 months. If Paul completes the course without issue, there will be no jail time or probation. Paul was referred to as Diddy's drug mule in a $30 million lawsuit Rodney Little Rod Jones filed against Diddy, whose real name is Sean Combs. So it was just a coincidence that Brandon Paul got hemmed up after that lawsuit was filed? Or is it more likely that the government was following along and made their move? The complaint, one of 5 against Combs since November, alleged that he was involved in acquiring and distributing Mr. Combs' drugs and guns. Whether Paul's arrest was connected to allegations in the lawsuit or to the raids on Diddy's property was not confirmed. Oh, it's confirmed now. It's 100% confirmed in my opinion now. And I think that as we move forward, we're going to hear more about this. I don't think enough people are talking about this aspect of what went down. And I think that it's very crucial to talk about things like this because all of it's connected, right? And if you want to understand how everything happened, how this all came to be, it's crucial to have as much context as possible. And understand that stuff like this doesn't just happen, overnight. This is a case that's been being built. And they arrested him in March, sat down, proffered him up, flipped him, got him on record, and my guess is other people on record. And then from there, once they had a pretty much bulletproof case, at least in their opinion, they made the arrest. But to think that this wasn't connected with what we're seeing now is crazy talk. Jones claimed in the lawsuit that he personally witnessed Paul acquire and distribute drugs to Combs and his entourage and transport or intend to transport drugs and baggage on flights. An arrest warrant obtained by DailyMail.com says that Paul admitted to having drugs in his luggage as law enforcement intercepted him at Miami Opa-locka Executive Airport at 4:15 p.m. in March. And for anybody who follows the narco game the way that I do, you know that this is not standard procedure. If you get hemmed up with drugs getting onto a flight, forget it. You're in big trouble, bro. You're going to get all kinds of charges thrown at you. And when they're done with you, they're going to have you made out to be El Chapo Jr. But all of a sudden, Brandon Paul, who's connected to this bigger case, all of a sudden just gets a sweetheart deal? Sorry, I'm not buying that. He wrote that the flights were between Los Angeles, Miami, Virginia, the Caribbean, and London 3 times in December of 2022, April of 2023, and November of 2023. Members of the enterprise and their associates procured, transported, and distributed ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, marijuana, and mushrooms by packing these substances in their carry-on luggage and going through TSA, he wrote. Mr. Jones personally witnessed Brandon transport firearms to and from nightclubs, strip clubs, and other venues for Mr. Combs on his person in Miami, Florida. So you mean to tell me that the civil suit comes out, these allegations are made, Paul gets arrested, and nobody's connecting these dots? Because it seems like a relatively easy connection to make, right? Think that when all is said and done, that Brandon Paul is going to end up being a very important witness for the government. Mr. Jones personally witnessed Mr. Combs distribute firearms out of his bedroom closet to individuals that Mr. Jones knew to be members of local gangs. Jones attached a photo of Paul holding prescription pill bottles with a black pouch sitting on his lap. Brandon Paul's videotaped with one of the black pouches Combs and Katrina Khorram required the associates and members to carry, he claimed. So all these claims that Little Rod made and all these other folks were making now look to have some legs. Where we might have looked at some of these claims before and thought that they were so dastardly that they were crazy almost, well, guess what? Whole different perspective now, huh? Especially what we're learning when it comes to Diddy and his proclivities with men. So it really validates some of these allegations that some of these dudes are making. This pouch was filled with ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, marijuana, mushrooms, and took, which is Tusi. Pink cocaine, we've talked about that here before. It is a disgusting drug that I have no idea why anyone would do, but something that Diddy loved. Mr. Combs required Brandon Paul and Mr. Jones to carry his firearm on their person whenever they went out. Another part of the lawsuit read, one of these occasions Mr. Jones was required to carry Mr. Combs' firearm was when Mr. Combs recorded himself coaching Mr. Jones on how to solicit sex workers. And this is all part of the RICO. Whenever you're in a racketeering conspiracy the way they allegedly were, there is a chain of command, with Diddy sitting at the very top. And the way that they're putting these pieces together, I have no idea how Diddy is going to navigate this. And honestly, his best bet might be to plead guilty. I know he's not going to, but might be his best bet. Jones worked with Combs most recently on his record, the Love album, Off the Grid. He claimed that Paul and other staff were told to hire sex workers to come to the recording studio. Combs, 54, founded the Bad Boy record label in 1993 and was a major figure in hip-hop's commercialization over the decades that followed. His protégés included the late Notorious B.I.G. and Mary J. Blige. He's among the industry's billionaires, not least due to his ventures in the liquor industry. You know, I always found Diddy overrated. When I was younger and really into hip-hop, never was a fan of Diddy or the music he was creating. Was always more of a Tupac guy myself. And speaking of Tupac, the dude was like a prophet. Every single person that he told us was a scumbag turned out to be a scumbag. But contrary to the public image of a suave businessman, lawsuits describe Combs as a violent man who used his celebrity to prey on and intimidate women. Combs' homes were raided in March, pictures exclusively obtained by DailyMail.com showing several disheveled rooms, bedrooms, turned over, and drawers rifled through as the rapper faces multiple allegations accusing him of sexual and physical abuse. And mind you, this article was published in May, so we're going back a little bit to get a little more context. And I think it's important that we do that. That way we understand, like I was saying earlier, the whole last story. Aaron Dyer, an attorney for the rapper, broke Combs' silence just over 24 hours after the Homeland Security investigation with a statement to DailyMail.com. And I think it's crucial to remember that, too. So Brandon Paul was arrested not only by Miami-Dade police officers, but Homeland Security agents. And if it wasn't connected to what Diddy was going through, why would they be there? Wouldn't it just be the DEA or the local drug task force? All of this stuff matters, folks. All these little details matter. And if you want the picture to be in HD, you have to pay attention. Yesterday, there was a gross overuse of military-level force as search warrants were executed at Mr. Combs' residences. There's no excuse for the excessive show of force and hostility exhibited by the authorities or the way his children and employees were treated, Dyer said. Mr. Combs was never detained, but spoke to and cooperated with authorities, he added. Yeah, he's detained now, though, isn't he? And it's always interesting to go back and see these lawyers and all their bravado get shoved directly down their throat when their client ends up getting arrested. And inevitably, they always try and set their clients up as the person who's the real victim. It's always funny as hell to me. This unprecedented ambush, paired with an advanced, coordinated media presence, leads to a premature rush to judgment of Mr. Combs and nothing more than a witch hunt based on meritless accusations made in civil lawsuits, Dyer continued. Boy, that's progressed quickly, huh? From where we were to where we are. And remember what I said about those civil lawsuits, it's worth repeating again. Whenever you see somebody get entangled in a human trafficking case especially, and there's civil suits going on, chances are there's going to be charges coming from that. 4 women, including Diddy's long-term girlfriend, filed shocking lawsuits against the rapper late last year, accusing him of abuse and sexual assault. Well, that's turned into 11, by the way, and I'm guessing that there's going to be even more. The rapper, who earned a fortune through music as a producer and artist with Bad Boy Entertainment record label, was accused of rape, sex trafficking a minor, assault, and a slew of additional alleged abuses. And when I talk about a superseded indictment, that underage girl might be added to that superseded indictment. Stay tuned. Because there's no doubt that a superseded indictment is coming. The only question is, what charges are the government planning on adding? Ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura accused him of rape and forcing her to have sex with male prostitutes in front of him. She also accused him of repeated physical abuses. Combs denied the allegations and settled the suit. Combs has since denied all further allegations against him, saying enough is enough. Yeah, well, guess what? I guess enough wasn't enough, because he's sitting in a jail cell. And his accuser, Cassie Ventura, is not only taking a victory lap, but she's cashing a bag too. And as far as Brandon Paul goes, there is no doubt in my mind that homie 302'd proffered up King for a Day, and he sang a song for the feds. And I think the lyrics of that tune helped build this case that we see now unfolding against Diddy. Alright folks, that's going to do it for this one. All of the information that goes with this episode